Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here today with the cute, cuddly Skaven. They're going to be taking on the Empire, or I'm going to be taking on the Empire, I should say, because I am indeed playing the Skavenses. And we're here today. We've got 4 units of Storm Vermin, 2 Halberds, 2 Shields, 2 units of Rat Ogres, 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, a whole bunch of Skaven Slaves up front with a couple Doom Wheels. Yes, indeed, double Doom Wheel time. We've also got a Grey Seer Lord Ruin here. He's got Dreaded 13th, Death Frenzy, and Howling Warp Gale. For my Empire opponent, he's got Flagellants up front, 3 units of Flagellants. We've got Reiksguard currently getting hit by that Warp Lightning Cannon. Some Great Swords and Sigmar's Sons. Free Company Militia with Sterling's Revenge, and 2 units of Spearmen. There are some additional Reiksguard over here, I want to say. Yep, the Zintler's Reiksguard with Vanguard deployment. Reiksguard are going to pull into the woods, try and hide from those Warp Lightning Cannons. Pretty smart idea, honestly. The Warp Lightning Cannons do a ton of damage to Cav, and at this long distance, they definitely need to try and avoid that. However, because the Cav is going to be pushed away, that does mean that the Doom Wheels can then come in and get some free charges in here. Since there's really nothing to stop them from doing this, the Handgunners can try and open up and get a few shots in, but it's really not going to be overly helpful. The Doom Wheels will be able to get some good damage done in here. Nice little side shot through the side of the unit there, and beautiful stuff. The Reiksguard going to come try and respond here. You can see the Doom Wheel has taken a little bit of damage from those handguns. Same thing here, but the friendly fire, unfortunately, from the Warp Lightning Cannons as the Reiksguard kind of pursue here is going to do quite a bit of damage, unfortunately, especially with that shot right there. Just did a ton of damage to the Doom Wheel, so very Skaven thing to do. I mean, clearly there's some kind of beef between this artillery crew and the crew of the Doom Wheel, but let's not think about that too much. Rat Ogres over here, and Skaven Slaves, Storm Vermin, fending off those Zintler's Reiksguard, so they're going to have a tough time compromising this area. And again, lack of mobility means that the Doom Wheels can kind of do their thing. They're going to mess with these Flagellants a little bit as they get into the Skaven Slaves. Obviously, they'll cut through Skaven Slaves no problemo. But the Storm Vermin, on the other hand, are going to be a little bit of another issue. The Skaven Slaves are more just here to kind of wear them down a little bit, but here come the Storm Vermin. Their heavy armor and their shields and everything, they'll be able to get in here and give these Flagellants quite a beating. So, yeah, pretty brutal stuff. They do take down a few of the Storm Vermin, but Storm Vermin, very good unit in that particular matchup. Unfortunately, you can see, again, the friendly fire and the Overwatch does rout off one Doom Wheel. The other Doom Wheel is kind of able to get into the back line of these missile units here. Likewise, over here, we've got a reasonable blob forming. I'm going to let the blob form up a little bit more before we unleash the Dreaded 13th. The Grey Seer is currently hidden in the woods, so my opponent can't see him. But, yeah, Skaven Slaves starting to be cut through a little bit. We're starting to get compromised, so we're going to throw in these Storm Vermin to now hold back the Reiksguard and the Great Swords and so on. Unfortunately for me, the Zintler's Reiksguard are coming back around. You can see the Rat Ogres sort of in a foot race with them, trying to get back to protect, but unfortunately they're not quite fast enough, so instead we're just going to smash into these Great Swords, try and do a little bit of shock damage here. But yeah, thankfully for me, the Storm Vermin were able to get into enough of a position to stop those Reiksguards, so you can see the Warp Lightning Cannon protected well here, and that'll be it. Meanwhile, over here, the Empire Blob has sort of mopped up some Skaven Slaves. This unit of Rat Ogres is just about done, so it looks like we're going to get a spell from the Empire here, and it is a Dweller's Blow, going to do a ton of damage to these Storm Vermin. You can see it's not quite as devastating as it was in the late stage of Game 1, but there goes the Dreaded 13th in response, just blowing up a ton of those Empire State troops, as well as summoning a fresh unit of Storm Vermin with Halberds here. Of course, the Tattersouls and the Spearmen here won't be able to do much against the heavy armor of the Storm Vermin. We're also going to hit them with a Death Frenzy just to juice up their stats even more. They're up to 50 melee attack, 40 melee defense, immune to psychology. Not that there's any terror-causing units for the Empire, but still. In the back line, the Reiksguard have managed to get up and around, trying to finally finish off this Warp Lightning Cannon, but it's going to now turn and fire there. The infantry just not able to push through. The Doom Wheel still marauding around, you know, terrifying various units. The Doom Wheel's just such a good unit in this matchup, and a lot of people don't account necessarily for the Doom Wheel. You know, armor piercing, people tend to think of Skaven as a low armor infantry faction, which is true to a degree, but the Doom Wheel kind of counteracts that a little bit. You can see it looks like Earthblood restoring the health on some of these Empire units, but it is a little bit tough. The balance power definitely turning against the Empire. I'm keeping the Doom Wheel out here to try and keep these important units routed off, especially that Sterling's Revenge with their AP. But nonetheless, Summon Storm Vermin slugging it out here in the center, and the Jade Wizard taking quite a bit of damage as well. Warp Lightning Cannons finishing off the Reiksguard, and the Rat Ogres just destroying some great swords here. So yeah, very fun stuff. Nice to see a Skaven victory once in a while. They're not in the best place, but they still are a pretty powerful faction despite everything. And certainly once they get their DLC, which I'm not sure, you know, when we're going to be seeing that. I'd imagine it's going to be sometime soon, hopefully. But nonetheless, going to be a great time regardless. The Skaven were able to pull out a victory here. You can see the Storm Vermin pushing through very hard, and Empire forces quickly moving towards army losses. That Jade Wizard just gave himself an Earthblood to try and stick around a little bit longer, but that Warp Lightning is point-blank firing in. Going to do a little bit of friendly fire again because, you know, it's Skaven, but still surprisingly accurate given how danger close they're firing here. Boris and these great swords finally cut through some Storm Vermin here. Look like they're maybe going to shut down that Warp Lightning Cannon, but instead decide to not. So yeah, that, man, the Warp Lightning Cannons and the cannons on the Doom Wheel, of course, just both doing a ton of damage there. Doom Wheel charging in, running over a couple great swords here as the Rat Ogres go to town. And yeah, Boris is still fighting, but just getting punted around by the Doom Wheel. Boris on foot, of course, gets terrified, and that's going to be the game. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. Like I said, always nice to see a Skaven victory, even if it does come against my beloved Empire. And in terms of my build here, it worked out quite well. Both Doom Wheels racking up a bunch of kills, 101 2 XP chevrons for this bad boy. Both Warp Lightning Cannons also paid for themselves, 92 kills, 154 XP chevrons all around. Storm Vermin did quite well in the center against the Flagellants, 91 kills and 144. 13 for these Storm Vermin and 35 here. They didn't do as much, but they, you know, did their role. Rat Ogres also got quite a few kills and some XP chevrons in some various places. So generally, very good performance by the heavy armor units from the Skaven. Again, most people tend not to consider. My opponent did bring some great swords and the armor-piercing Sterling's Revenge to do some AP damage, and you can see the one unit of great swords, 136 kills. I believe they both started with 1 XP chevrons. This one did manage to get a second one through the course of the battle, cut through quite a few Storm Vermin, 117 on these Tattersouls, cut up a whole bunch of Skaven slaves. The Resentler's Reiksguard got 48, but again, most of those are coming against slaves. You probably want to get a little bit more. But just in general, the high armor units from the Skaven, both the Storm Vermin and the Doom Wheel, can be quite useful in a number of situations. On the Empire side, you definitely want to bring at least one unit that causes terror against the Skaven. Well, that's true of any faction. Terror is just so good against the Skaven. You're going to want at least one unit that causes terror. And in my opinion, great tool to bring against the Skaven in terms of the Empire is the Faith Demis. So what that means is you bring a Warrior Priest with the Banner of Eternal Flame and Hammer of Sigmar. You don't always have to take the Banner of Eternal Flame, but if you're worried about Hell Pit Abominations, it does give you a little bit of a damage increase in that situation. Lore of Fire is also a pretty popular pick against the Skaven. It does a ton of area of effect damage. The Burnt from Burning Head can layer with Terror very well, because it gives obviously a -8 leadership. So just generally, I would recommend bringing the Banner of Eternal Flame if you're going to have the Bright Wizard. Likewise, Fireball can be pretty good. Flamestorm is just pure memes, but it can be pretty good also. But you basically pair the Warrior Priest with the Royal Altar of Griphites. This gives you anti-large armor piercing. You can deal with Doom Wheels. You can deal with Hell Pit Abominations. It also gives you a source of terror as well, so you can like side or rear charge some Storm Vermin to rout them off. They are a very expensive unit and extremely vulnerable to Warp Lightning Cannons, so you'll need to watch out for that. If you're really worried about it, you can maybe even bring this Shield of Faith to give you extra damage resistance. Soulfire also gives 90% magic resistance in a very tight area of effect. So you can use that to, at least for a short while, negate. It's only 7 seconds, but you can negate a lot of the damage from Warp Lightning Cannons for a short amount of time. But just in general, I would recommend this. Fireball also can blow up the artillery models of Warp Lightning Cannons, so you can kind of sit back and artillery duel a little bit if you want to. Boris on foot's not a bad idea. Personally, I would probably take the Arch Lector just because he is a bit more versatile in terms of his buffs, you can put him in the front line with like the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and really juice up your Flagellants and Greatswords, or otherwise just take state troops and have them trade super cost effectively. But generally, I would definitely recommend Royal Thupker fights with the Warrior Priest in order to take down Doom Wheels and Hell Pits and that sort of thing. Just at least bring one unit that can kill a Doom Wheel, if nothing else. Because, you know, they are definitely a huge risk in this matchup, and if you don't have the right tools, they are a big pain to deal with. So, hope you all enjoyed that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.